Today we're going to talk about the finishing of the brass. This piece of brass is one of the national awards that we do annually with the PGA. It's one of their big awards presentations to the 12 most important winners of their various categories every year. This brass has been engraved deep enough to receive this black epoxy compound, which has been cured. And now we're going to start the process of finishing this cured epoxy finish. This water has a slight amount of detergent soap in it, which works both to lubricate it and to keep the surface clean of residual oils that could affect the way the later finish of this brass is going to take place. And with this wet sandpaper, which is a 360 grit wet or dry sandpaper, I'm going to sand this piece until the black is gone. Okay, now that all the black has been removed from the surface and we're looking at the bright brass, I'm making straight lines with the sander just to get a visual assurance that we've got most of the scratches removed. I'm going to wash it in this water, which gives me the ability to examine it for the deep scratches that are going to be a problem later. At this point, we're ready to start treating the edges of the brass and the drilling of the holes. All right, now we're going to discuss the surfacing of the edge, the treatment of the edges on all four sides of this plate that we have cleaned off so nicely. That was a preliminary cleaning. After we've satisfied the detail on this foredge, we're going to treat the edge with an abrasive wheel, and then we're going to do the final cut of the surface. Now that's done with this machine. It's important that the belt be a very, very dull 220 grit belt. Anything more aggressive than that is going to eat up the edge of this plate too much. I don't know if you can see this with the camera, but I've created a very gentle bevel around all four sides. It's important that that bevel is very uniform. You have to look at it to be sure that you're getting an even abrasion across the plate so that the degree of radius coming up onto the surface of the plate is uniform. Having done the edges of the brass and drilled the holes, now we're going to work with this Scotch-Brite 3M deburring wheel. I have prepared it with special grooves to match the contour that we're trying to achieve on the edge of the brass. I'm going to be very careful not to make those edges, the corners, round. First thing I'm doing is deburring the backs of the drilled holes. Now I'm going to very carefully, very deliberately run that radius through that contour in the wheel. This creates a very smooth, lustrous satin finish that we're going to match on the water table on the surface of the brass. It's a very, very light touch. Now this next step is going to be the final preparation of the surface of the brass with the water. This is the larger sanding unit with the 360 belt, 360 wet or dry paper with the same soapy water. Okay? This time, I'm going to hold the edge of this tool along this guide, and that's going to give me a straight line. Now, having done all the work cleaning this brass, all we're really doing is putting a uniform scratch on the surface with this paper, okay? It's strictly an aesthetic thing, but it's very important that the lines be straight and that all the scratches are removed. This plate is kind of wide, so what I'm going to do is flip it around against the stop and put it close to the edge where I can follow the edge with the abrasive. At this point, I'm going to wash it in the water. And examine it for scratches. I can see there's still an area of concern right where I have my finger there. So I'm going to go back to the table and be very specific about working that area. We're going to work the whole plate, but we're going to put a special pressure at that point. After we have done the final sanding, the plate is washed, and at that point, compressed air is used to blow off the excess water. The excess water is gone, and I'm using this paper towel to clean off any of the water that may have been on my hands, get it perfectly clean. The soap has made it very free of any contaminant oils, and that plate is ready to go onto the heat. The heat will bring this plate to about 130 degrees prior to the application of a sprayed lacquer that'll make it tarnish resistant.